Well, hi there. Welcome back to Mossy Roots Farm. This is our last video of the series, Cows and Winter. So what exactly is it that you got to do for your cows for the winter? Well, the cows are actually the most time-consuming part of winter prep, and it starts well before winter. So technically you can feed cows pure grain, just like we feed our pigs pure grain and our chickens pure grain. You can do that for cows, but we find it more cost effective to feed large round bales, and it's easier for us than square bales. So like this round bale here and this one, these two. All that is just grass that we let grow up real tall, and we cut it, dry it, and bale it up like this, and then we feed these to our cows. So it is more time consuming and a little bit more farming intensive, machinery intensive to do it this way with the hay bales versus with grain. However, it's a lot cheaper. So our neighbor, which we're very lucky we have him, our neighbor does our hay on kind of a contract system where he does grain on other parts of our hay field. So half of it he does in grain, the other half we do in hay, and he gives us that hay for free. In return, we let him use the other part of the field for row crop. So, oh look, Kitty decided she had to be a part of this too. So as I was saying, for our kitty distraction, he does all the row cropping and we get hay for free basically, but it's our property, it's our land, right? So you pay the tax value of it and whatnot, and you got to buy it in the first place. So like it's not free, but it's a lot cheaper than grain. And that's saying something, because for grain, we get it from our local elevator, our local co-op, for like $250 a ton, I think. So we get it like 2 tons at a time, and that lasts us all year, and we hardly feed any. You know, if we were feeding only grain, that'd probably last us a month or half a month. So your feed bill would be a lot higher if you grain fed versus primarily grass fed like we do. And the only reason we grain feed is so they get the minerals that are in it and get a little protein boost, because some of this hay doesn't have as much protein in it as others, and we want to make sure our cows stay nice and fat, because we like spring calving or summer calving over fall calving. So we make sure that they're nice and well fed in the wintertime to maintain body weight. But so that's what we do. So our preparation takes months and months of time in advance to get it all done. You got to cut it, rake it, mow it, bale it, move it, and then you got to feed it once you're done with all that. Now that's just the food side of things. What do we do in the barn? Well, if it was going to stay cold, like it's not going to, it's going to get back up to 60s here in the next couple weeks, we would put a lot of straw or hay down here so that way they aren't walking or sleeping on mud in case they want to come in here. Now our cows are, I don't want to call them free range because there's obviously a fence and you can't really see because of the lighting, but out there is all pasture and they can get into any portion of it anytime they want. So we don't lock them in a barn. We let ours go wherever, partly because we don't have water in this barn. They got to go to the natural spring and get water. So we can't have them locked in the barn. And the other part is we can't feed them in the barn just because we're not set up like that. So for us personally, we feed outside in the weather and they drink from a natural spring all year round and they're fine. And I mean, you can tell this girl is getting the groceries. Same with that one. They both big and fat, which is good. It's good to be big and fat for winter. But that's what we do with our cows. And then whenever they need hay, we'll take one of them big round bales, roll it over, and we'll feed them out there. And as soon as it starts dwindling down from them eating it, we'll roll over another one. And we just do that all winter long. And that's also why we wanted to start with this rotational grazing thing, because typically, and I don't want to say it like every year, but typically at this time we're starting to feed hay. You know, it's today the 2nd of November, so we're starting to feed hay right now, usually. Real bad years, we would have started feeding hay already. Good years like this one, we might have been able to survive with how we were typically doing things, not how we're going to start doing things. And that's why this rotational grazing stuff is really important, because we've still got, like I've shown in other videos, that pasture all the way up there has not been touched. The cows have not been in it since June. So we've got all that grass up there waiting to be eaten. Today or tomorrow, not sure which one, we're gonna kick them out of that piece. And then we're gonna wait a day or two for this ground to dry out, and then we're gonna put them in the hayfield up there. And we don't want them mucking up the hayfield, so that's why we're waiting on that portion. But that's why we do some of the stuff that we're doing, and that's why we're trying to go to these systems, rotational grazing, so that way we can feed grass, not even cut, grass in the ground until December or January would be the most ideal, which would then allow us to feed less hay bales, which would allow us to have more pasture because we don't need to have as much stocked up for hay, and we could have more cows on less acres with a very ideal system. And that's what our goal is.